And here we go. A happy Tuesday morning to you. It is Mornings with the Dreads. I am Otis B. Dreads. I'm not sure why my name isn't up there, but maybe that is because oh no, for some reason. Bam, there you go. Otis B. Dreads. Welcome everyone. Have a really good show today. If you guys are not familiar with Danny Langston or his portrayal of Stabby the Clown, you're in for a treat. That's right. Danny's going to join us here in just a couple minutes. Want to give a big shout out to Gorehounds of Horror, the group over there on Facebook. They are responsible. Tony, one of the owners there, he is responsible for that very cool intro. So I want to thank him for that. Also, you can check out, if you cannot, of course, the 9 to 5s will keep people sometimes from joining in live and joining in the chat, but that's okay. You can go to our YouTube page and check out all of these under the live tab. And here soon, I know I keep saying this, but here soon, we're going to get things worked out to where if you go to Night of the Living Dredge right down there, nightlivingdredge.com, you can listen to the audio version at your leisure whenever you want. Or if you'd rather just see our mugs, that's good too. But for now, you can go over there to nightlivingdredge.com and listen to some past episodes. Had some really, really cool people from the indie horror scene, from, I guess, bigger projects than indie, Tommy McLaughlin. Just a lot of good, cool people on. And today is no exception. As I mentioned with Mr. Danny Langston on today, and I'm gonna bring him in now. Danny, good morning. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. How's it going?
Oh man, other than it being gloomy, we were talking before we went live, and we're actually neighbors, state neighbors. And so is it gloomy up north? You were just north of me. Is it gloomy up there? Here it is cloudy, which is ironic because it is National Sunglasses Day.
Oh man, I gotta get my shades.
And the damn sun isn't even out. It is National Sunglasses Day. Danny's getting his shades. We don't really need them here. We're in the the Midwest. We don't really need them. Awesome. We almost look like twinsies. Look.
We do.
We're twinsies.
We have the same eyes, I think.
Exactly. We don't really, I don't need them here, today. It is very cloudy here. What's the weather like there just north of us?
Beautiful and cloudy. I love it.
I actually do too. I'm not going to complain too much. I guess, if you're a big sunglasses enthusiast, National Sunglasses Day is a big fucking day for you. And if you're here in Ohio, you're having a very sad day. Very sad day. We have Mr. Nanners. He said we're the Terminators. Mr. Nanners is here. He said we were the Terminators.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the Terminator glasses on.
Welcome. Always good to see Mr. Nanners. And
yes.
It should be in the Dread Zone.
The Dread Zone. That's good. So what do you got going on? Of course, if anybody has seen it, if you haven't, you can over there. I believe it's Cineverse. You can watch Hellvira on the Run, which is where people got their first look at Stabby the Clown, which is who you portray in that. And I want to talk a little bit about Stabby because the people that I have talked to that have seen it Stabby the Clown always pops up. He, as being one of their, favorite characters in it. Does Stabby have a backstory? Because I'm also friends with a lot of, scare actors, haunt actors, and all of their characters have backstories. And I was thinking about this last night. Does Stabby the Clown have a backstory? Because he seems to be quite an angry, clown. Well, what's his deal?
Yeah, there's a lot to untangle when it comes to Stabby. I know Morgan has made some references to revealing some of Stabby's backstory. And
Mm.
I think of it as kind of like where you never know if you're going to get the truth when it comes to Stabby's backstory.
Oh,
There just may be some
shrouded in
conflicting versions.
mystery is what I'm
Yeah,
getting.
it's um sometimes just the myth blends with reality, and
Mm.
uh memories cross wires with imagination. And at the end of the
Oh.
day, we're just it's gonna have to just be up to the viewer to figure
Mm.
that out. But I'm really looking forward to the day when we do get to dive in, because I think that's a really awesome topic to get into. There's just a world of mystery and violence for
Well,
Stabby
well,
Back.
yes, I was gonna say there has to be a lot of violence because Stabby does well. He likes to stab bitches.
He likes to stab a bitch. That is true. One
Yes,
after another.
one after another.
And
He was one of the contestants on the Win a Date with Hellvira, one of the awesome segments there on Hellvira on the Run on Cineverse, as I mentioned, and here soon, hopefully, with the help of everyone supporting this project, getting this next project, Hellvira's Haunted Asylum of Horror. I'm sporting the swag this morning. Um, and we need the help of everyone. If it's not, I mean, you can donate as little as $1. All the way up to what you want. There's some very awesome perks. Go over there to Indiegogo, check all that out, see if it's right for you, because we believe it will be. This seems like another fun project. A lot of us, as some may know, I did the announcer voice for Win a Date with Elvira. So a lot of us did this remotely. You did your part, where you are. I did mine where I am, but this Hellvira's Haunted Asylum of Horror, and this is the reason I'm hoping that people really give this a lot of support. This is going to bring all of us together to take and work together. So really excited about that. Uh, and of course, Stabby. I mean, man, what, dude? I've been thinking a lot about like the history of Stabby.
uh,
Man, why is he so damn violent? But
yeah,
again, well, yeah,
time will tell.
that's something that I'm sure we will become aware of in the future.
Time will
Hopefully.
tell. He's got a violent history, but also I think a violent future. He's not happy with Helvira. Not at all happy with Helvira
No,
for
no,
passing out.
and I
Seems to get
don't
a lot of play with the
understand.
ladies.
Yeah, yeah, he really has a problem with social interactions. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The social scene is not his thing, man. Very, very angry guy. But so yes, there's my very shameless plug. You're gonna help a lot of us do this for the first time. You are not a first timer in front of the camera. Some of us are Bone Ripper, I believe, be his first time in front of the camera, Sean, and myself as well. I play a stoner. Who would have thunk that, right? Dave the stoner. I'm really excited to, I've read through the script. This is going to be a really, really fun project. And I hope everybody gives their love and support. And hey, if times are tough with you, the best thing that you can do is the next best thing that you can do, and you can't donate financially, take and share it far and wide. Share it around. Maybe it'll fall into the hands of somebody who does, want to support the project and can. You never know.
Yeah.
So there's my shameless plug. Let's talk about, because we are also, and I didn't realize this until I believe it was the script read show we did some months back. Um, we are also in another Watchdog.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that not long ago that we were both involved in Watchdog. I was gonna bring that up. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm again doing a little bit of voice work, and tell us about your character, because Watchdog, from what I understand, I haven't chatted with LC. I am going to get him on the show and talk. He is always a fun guy to sit down and talk with. Him and Cheney.
Mhm.
Would like to get them both on, actually. Cheney actually, lives maybe about 25 minutes from me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I did
Lot
not.
lot lot of cool things, people wouldn't realize. But there's Ohio isn't known for a whole lot.
Mhm.
Um, but when it comes to the indie horror scene, when you start diving in, man, you can see a lot of things. Derek Worley,
Mhm. Mhm.
he lives about 25 minutes from me as well.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a
Ohio's
lot of cool things coming out of Ohio with the indie scene. But
putting Ohio on the map.
for something at least, right?
I head out to Ohio for different conventions, though. I go to Cinema Wasteland up in Cleveland.
Mhm.
I've been to Columbus for a regular kind of Comic Con, even though I prefer the horror cons, and then down Horror Hound down in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so it is cool, and I've seen some familiar faces at different conventions like that. So
They're so fun. It's been a minute since I have been to one. The last one was actually Horror Hound.
oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, that was the last one. It was last March, I believe.
Mm, okay.
Um,
I missed
yeah, I think it was last March down to Sharonville. Yeah,
Sharonville. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. That those are a good time.
yeah.
I haven't had the chance yet with my work and whatnot to get out to another one, but I'm looking forward to it, man. Being that we are neighbors, state neighbors, we'll have to get together for sure and go visit one of these cons.
That's
Um,
right. We'll coordinate.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, let's do
So,
it.
Watchdog, from what LC has told me, Watchdog is hoping to be out later this year, in the fall sometime, is what I'm hearing. I guess as long as everything goes well, that post production can be a very daunting process, and anything can happen. Tell us a little bit about your character. I do a little voice work in the very beginning, kind of laying the groundwork of what's about to happen. This is again another like home invasion
Yeah,
type movie that I feel LC is very. Your Next was another one that he actually acted in. He was the lamb mask, I believe. Um, yeah. So tell us a little bit about your character. What are you doing in this project?
oh yeah. Well, so for anybody who's seen the trailer for Watchdog, you see where Cheney's character gets mugged
Hmm.
in the parking lot, and then he gets, somebody comes to his rescue, and that's right out there in the trailer, and that's pretty
Sure.
much where the movie takes a turn and really starts to get into the plot. So where I'm at in the film is at dinner. I'm basically his supervisor at his job, and it's like an accounting job. I'm his accounting manager. We're meeting with some clients, and they're pitching an idea to us, and he's late to the meeting, and he doesn't really fit in. His mind is elsewhere. He tells a joke that nobody
Hmm.
laughs at, and so
Hey,
I'm
hey,
in the
welcome
scene.
to my world.
Oh yeah. I hear you. I could have auditioned for that as well,
Right.
but you just keep going. Sometimes the lack of laughter creates its own joke.
It'll hit sooner or later. Yeah, sooner or later
So
it'll hit.
it's
But
kind of a funny scene. But we're at a restaurant. It's like a business dinner,
mhm.
and they're pitching this idea, and his mind is elsewhere. He's got to get home to his girl, and on his way home in that parking lot is when
Is
that
when the bad
really when
things
that
happen.
event happens. So yeah, I'm right before that, and I'm just kind of so I'm sitting next to him in the booth and just looking at him like, dude, you're embarrassing me here. We're trying to impress these people. What's going on with you? Like, snap out of it, wake up. I kind of have that attitude with him. I'm a little bit impatient with him,
Right.
because he's just thinking about other things. So that's where I am in the film. I'm also an executive producer on the film, and so that was really cool to really be brought in that way. And that
Mhm.
was all thanks to my friend Daniel John Kearney, who just pretty much contacted me and said I was on the road. I was coming back home from out of state, and he's like, "Hey, there's this thing coming up with LC Holt," and I knew who LC was, and he just said, "Hey, this is coming up. We're filming in a few months. You want to be a part of it?" And the rest is history. Met with LC and saw different versions of the script and just really, really fell in love with the movie. And I really, really liked my part in it. I really dig that scene.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the trailer. If you have not, I'm sure you could just go to YouTube, probably put in, Watchdog movie trailer. I'm sure it'll pop up. If I would have been thinking, this morning, I would have had that ready to play, but I never know where these conversations are going to go.
That's
Um,
right.
but no, it is, yeah. Cheney's character, yeah, runs across, a mugger, and somebody helps him out, a little bit. Again, all seen in the trailer, so that these are not spoilers. But yes, bad things start to unfold. And those kind of movies, let's talk about that for a minute. Home invasion type movies, I think are fucking terrifying. Some of them are terrifying. You don't need a big daunting killer in a mask. These are just like normal people who may wear masks to disguise them, but this is fucking terrifying. I don't know if I'm the only one, but at night, any little noise, man, I'm like, dude, is that somebody? Because I watch a lot of true crime too.
Oh, yeah.
So my head is all over the fucking place when I'm trying to take and go to bed. What's your thoughts on that? Do they freak you out as much as they do me?
Absolutely. You can have another slasher in the woods. The moral of the story: stay out of the woods. You have a shark eating
Right.
people in the water. Moral of the story:
Get the hell
stay
out of the
out of the
water.
water. What
Right.
are you supposed to do when someone for a home invasion? Stay away from your home. What's the moral of that story?
Exactly. I mean, because that's a place which is what the premise, and probably the thinking with a lot of these home invasion, type stories, is you're supposed to be safe in your home. That is your spot. That is your, little corner of the world. You're supposed to be safe there. Locking doors doesn't always work. Again, I watch a lot of true crime. You can lock all the doors you want. If somebody wants into your house and wants something you have, or it just has malicious intent, they will get into your house. I don't care what kind. It doesn't matter unless you have some high dollar, security system, that could thwart away, but
That's right.
I
Yeah,
do not. So every little bump in the night, man, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going through all these scenarios in my head. All right, if somebody was to break in, what am I going to grab first? I'm just a little neurotic when it comes to that. Do you watch true crime? Is that, something that you get into, or is it just like a horror
I
movies?
have watched a little bit of the true crime stuff, and I have some friends that watch a lot of it. And I think the more you watch, the more it can deal with you. But it can also be very educational. Even
Sure.
a movie like Watchdog, it's like, okay, if that happens, what can I not do? Maybe that made things worse for this character. What can I
Mhm.
avoid? Oh, I would have tried that too. That didn't work out. Okay, but or in any movie like that, any home invasion, it's like you can take some notes for how the
Oh,
ultimate
no,
resolve it.
absolutely. Yo, absolutely. Yeah, and I do the same thing. Yeah, it will start playing with you. I do watch a lot of true crime, probably an unhealthy amount. If I was to talk to my therapist about it, probably an unhealthy amount. But um, hey, I dig it. I do like it for the I guess educational type, you know, aspect of it. I like a lot of the interrogations. You ever
Uh,
watch those? Oh, those are interesting. I love to see them come in confident and just slowly slither, you know? I mean, they're like, "Ugh." You just see them deflate. Anyway, um, just going off on tangents. So,
Love it.
okay, you were also yeah, Watchdog is coming out. Macabre Mountain. Tell us a little bit about that. You played is it Ollie or
Ollie,
Ollie? Yes.
yes.
Tell us about Macabre Mountain.
So Macabre Mountain is where there's this attraction. And it's kind of like what I heard years and years ago. I heard from a coworker say, it would be the best kind of way to get away with murder is if you kill somebody in a haunted house attraction. Because before anybody realizes what really happened, maybe hours have gone by, and anybody who sees it thinks it's just part of the theatrics. And it's sort of Macabre Mountain, even though it's completely separate from that former coworker of mine. That idea has always kind of stayed with me. Like, oh, that'd be a pretty kick-ass movie. Macabre Mountain is sort of in that vein, where
Hmm.
there's this attraction, but there's more going on behind the scenes,
Right.
where they are luring people in, and not just for the visitors' entertainment.
Entertainment purposes.
Yeah. So the character Ollie is one of those that we'll say if people are getting captured and things are happening to them, then Ollie has to find, like we're talking about, finding your way out of situations,
Uh,
and not necessarily a home invasion, but where you're kind of out and about, looking for a good time, having a good time, and next thing you know, you're waking up and figuring out where you are,
uh,
and getting out of it. That's part of the film. So it kind of has, like that, like it kind of has, for me, it reminds me of Hostel.
mhm,
If you remember the Hostel movies, especially the
mhm.
first one. So it's sort of like that, and just a lot of fun. And there's just a lot more going on there. And at first, you don't realize. You think, oh, this is just an attraction. People are having fun with it, checking into a hotel and going to meet this celebrity, kind of like a horror convention mixed with a
Right,
haunted house attraction.
right.
And it just sort of blows up into what's really going on behind the scenes. So that one's a lot of fun too.
That
Can't wait
that's
for that
that
one.
that sounds a lot of fun. I have, there are, a couple movies that I have seen that have a similar premise, because I always thought that was a really cool, idea too, outside of the, your stereotypical, like you mentioned, slasher in the woods, don't go in the woods, but you want to go out, you want to have a good time. If you like us, you want to hit haunted houses and things like that. And what if you just went to the, the wrong one? And yeah, because it would be easy to, you could have somebody strung up dead, and people go by, oh, look, it looks so real because it is, one of those
Exactly.
things. So, no,
Exactly.
that sounds fun. When is that scheduled? When will people be able to see that? We mentioned Watchdog, LC, last I know, later on this year in the fall sometime. What about
Yeah.
Macabre Mountain?
We're looking at the fall. I've gotten word that we're going to have our premiere sometime in the late summer, early fall.
Okay.
So I'm guessing somewhere maybe around early September, maybe as late as October, but that's what we're looking at, is it'll be ready for our premiere then, and it'll be released shortly thereafter. And then we'll know, hopefully we'll have a better idea of where we'll be able to find it. But definitely all of that is in the works right now.
That's awesome. Going looking through, your IMDb, I see late checkout. These are movies that, I see anyway, being a part of certain, indie films groups on Facebook, I see these movies come through my feed all the time. I did not realize that you were a part of, so many of these that I see constantly, because there's so many good projects coming out of the indie horror scene right now. Late checkout. What do you do? What's your role in late checkout?
Okay, so late checkout, of course, you got the cabin in the woods, right?
Sure.
We're back to the woods, but it's a cabin. You're allowed to go to the cabin in the woods with some friends.
Nothing bad happens there. Just ask
Nothing.
Ash, right?
Nothing. And
No.
what's really cool is there's sort of this movie within the movie.
Oh, I dig those.
So the main characters in the film, they meet up at this cabin, they're friends, they get there and they flip on the TV and there's this really horrible kind of an Italian B kind of a B movie, an Italian horror B movie
Mhm.
called Demoni Inferno. And it's basically like a trailer for that movie.
Mhm.
So I'm in the movie that the characters are watching, but
Gotcha.
that was originally produced for the film. In fact, it has its own it does. I think you can find the trailer for Demona Inferno. I should have furnished that to you. I'm sorry. But
No, you
I
did.
think it is on YouTube where you can find Demona Inferno. And we're like, hey, if this takes off, we got to make our own little offshoot movie of Demona
No,
Inferno.
no, exactly, right.
And
That's
the
funny.
thing
You have the trailer for a movie that's being played in the movie.
Yes. Yeah, we have our own trailer and, the act we hammed it up just like you're supposed to in a really awful B movie. So, like, the screaming and the special effects, and Derek was a part of that with the special effects and,
He does
you
great
know
work.
and it is kinda cool that these characters are about to go through hell themselves, and here they are watching, a trailer for a slasher. But it's
Right,
just maybe they don't take it seriously because it is just the movie within the movie, not Late Checkout itself. Late
right,
Checkout itself is not a corny film, um,
right.
but we intentionally made that Demona Inferno just a little bit corny just so it would play well, and
Sure.
it came out. I think it could have a cult following of its own.
Oh, that's awesome. And how cool. Yeah, I mean, it's weird. The movie inside the movie grabs a cult following. It's
Yeah.
that's
So I get my arm chopped off in it. It's all in that trailer, and the special effects are but but it's you know what? It's there's something about that can still be entertaining, if you're in the right mood
sure.
or
Sure.
if you're relaxing in just the right way.
Right.
Uh, there's something to really be said for that. So it definitely has its place within that film, and if it does get a little bit of a following, we were kind of when we were making it, we had so much fun, and we were watching some of the playback, and now after watching the trailer, just like, gosh, if anything's gonna have just like a miniature cult following, why not that?
Why not? Yeah.
Just kind of unintentionally, yeah.
That's that's hilarious. Um, so man, I mean, you've gotten a lot of. I mean, is there any other projects? I see Strange Toys.
Yeah.
Is there anything? What other projects do you want to bring about that you're really excited about?
Yeah. Last month I went to LA to film Crust.
Okay, I
And
see that on the list.
so Crust is a very very original idea, and it's directed by Sean Whalen,
Hmm.
who co-wrote it, and it's it's something that you don't see every day, where um, you have this guy who's a washed up like a washed up actor, like
Hmm.
a former child actor. Now he's
Gotcha.
all grown up, and he owns this laundromat, and gosh, we just it's obviously still in post production. We're done filming it, uh, but he's got some enemies. He's got some enemies, and he's got a very cool way of dealing with his enemies.
Mm, okay, I like the way you put that. That's intriguing. That's another one that I've also seen come through my feed.
Mm.
Um, so Yeah, man, these are some real. Now, are you doing anything outside of the horror genre? I mean, a lot of these are kind of, either, just they're darker than, we're not talking about, comedies or anything here. There are some comedic value,
Yeah.
to it, as, with Stabby, who is, quite funny, angry, violent, but funny. Um But, I mean, is that where you like to stay as an actor? Is in the horror genre, or are you more open to do other type projects outside of horror?
Yeah, I'm definitely open to do other projects. My very first film is called Glastonbury, and that's still in post production as well. And that's kind of more of a Twilight Zone sort of suspense film rather than a horror
Right.
film. It's kind of a mind bender with what goes on, but it's not like so abstract where you can't follow it. You can follow
Sure.
it, but it's like a missing persons film. Uh, and so there's that, but I've produced films like that. I've produced films that are independent projects where it's dramas or where it's crime films,
Okay.
crime dramas, and just different efforts, but a lot of them do tend to be in the horror genre, and that just seems where a lot of the creativity is being focused right now. And
Sure. And it's, the horror genre, whether it be, indie, not indie, big budget, low budget, horror as a whole has just is like the number one genre out there. Um, it is up there. I mean, you think about horror, man. You don't have, as we mentioned, horror cons. You don't see comedy cons. You don't see, melodrama cons. You
right,
don't, the horror, that genre has such a following, which kind of unintentionally segues into what I wanted to, talk to you a little bit about, because with all these, there are a lot of cool ideas coming out of the indie scene. A lot of them we mentioned with some of the projects that you're on, and we need that little breath of fresh air when it comes to ideas and stories. Is that what kind of draws you more to the indie horror scene? Because that's what does it for me. Well, what's your thoughts about the state of horror as a genre, and as it relates to, like, the indie horror scene?
I just find that's where a lot of creativity is. It's very exciting. I think this is kind of a golden age of indie
Hmm.
horror films and kind of offshoots of indie horror films where there's horror comedies and things like that. And when it works, it
Yeah.
works. And
Yes.
I think horror and comedy are not opposites. I
Mm.
think they're opposite ends of the horseshoe that kind of meet together or get very close to meeting together. And it's easy to jump across from one to the other if it's done right. And
Yeah.
also, I think the community is just there's just something very unique and special. It's like I found my people,
Yeah.
and that's how I felt in 2018. I got started late in life, man. I was just too busy studying and going to school all the time, not having very much fun at all. In 2018, I went to my very first horror convention, and I had limited funds there, but the fact that the Kane Hodder and Elvira and Brink Stevens and Felissa Rose were just and Vincent Price's daughter Victoria Price,
Nice.
who's also his biographer. It's like
Hmm.
all these people are there, and I got to the point where I'd taken my pictures and gotten all the autographs I could afford that day. I should have brought more cash with me. That was a kind of a note to self. And I showed up on a Saturday when it was just hopping busy. But I kind of got to the point where I'd run out of cash and I was just enjoying walking around
Yeah.
and being like, these are my people. Like, I can't believe it. Over here, I've got this person. Over here, there's Tiffany Shepis over there. And Eileen Dietz is over at that booth. And that one of the I think it must have been the first Clown Motel movie. That one
Hmm.
came out and they had kind of a big setup for that. And I'm just like, where am I? And how have I not been to one of these sooner? I was like, I finally just found I found my tribe, I found my people. And that's
Yeah.
how it feels in the film, the indie horror film community. Is I get those exact same vibes where it's
Yeah.
very welcoming.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm equally a late bloomer when it comes to horror cons. Went to my first one 2 years ago.
Mm.
But it was a good one. You may not be able to. Whoop! It's this side. May not be able to see it. Me, my son, and Alice Cooper.
Oh man.
I mean, the
Oh,
first
I see it.
one I went, yeah, met Alice Cooper, met Corey Taylor. There, I mean, Bill Moseley. He signed my magazine here. I
Oh,
mean,
that's
and it was like, yeah, it was like I was walking around, just like, what do I do? I mean, I was just like, this is Mecca.
yeah,
This
yeah.
is where I need to be. It that community, as you mentioned, the indie horror film and the horror community as a whole, I think is a very it's very similar to like the metal, metal community when it
Yeah.
comes to music. You go, I get the same vibes, because I've gone to a lot of, festivals and concerts, and I get the same vibes from a metal show because you'll see horror t-shirts at a metal show and you'll see metal t-shirts at a horror convention. They're kind of right together. Really good documentary right there, the history of metal and horror.
Oh, no.
That's a super documentary.
The Jack
I
there.
had the director Mike Schiff on. Met him at Horror Hound, and he won an award or two there at the film festival. But that's really good. Whether you like metal music or not, you can't deny they're kind of one and the same. So, but again, and it goes down to that community. I get the same vibes from a metal show as I do a horror convention. And as I mentioned, you're right. I mean, we are on the edge of something big, I think, when it comes to indie horror. That's where the original, you don't have people over you saying you can't write that. That's too risque. No, not in
Right,
indie horror.
right.
It's yeah, imagination can just, run rampant and you can put whatever you want into indie horror. You don't have somebody telling you no, 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 you can't do that. Unless you go, I guess, if you self-distribute, yeah, you can pretty much put anything out there. I mean, at
Yeah.
your own risk, I guess, but the sky's the limit when it comes to making movies and indie horror. Um, you have some, as we mentioned, Hellvira on the Run. You were Danny in Mothman.
Mhm.
That was Mothman. I'm sure people know is a cryptid. You know what they call them? Cryptids. Almost like a it's like a oh, what's the an urban legend
Yeah.
down in Virginia. Isn't that where
That's right.
that's at?
That's right.
Virginia.
In
Yeah.
fact, I think it's Point Pleasant,
What?
West
Yes,
Virginia,
West Virginia.
where they have a Mothman festival every year, like in
They do. They have a big
September.
statue in the middle of
Yeah,
town.
yeah,
It's crazy how these people are. I'm not much into like the urban legends like that. I think they're entertaining. I don't really put a whole lot of stock into them as far as real or not. That's just me, but entertaining nonetheless. But they go all out, man. Festivals and statues. um obviously the movie Mothman is about that, given the name.
yeah,
It is how Tell us a little bit about that. What's your character? It's actually you're Danny in this one.
yeah,
The
yeah.
vlogger. You're a vlogger in this
I am. So there's a few vloggers, and they do a really good job in the film of kind of there's a point in the film where they're sort of like mixing the different sort of like testimonials, but more of like where we're sharing our encounters with this thing that we can't explain,
Right.
which is, supposed to be the Mothman. And that was really cool because we had a lot of leeway to come up with our own scenarios.
Mhm.
And yeah, Josh pretty much just let, just gave us the freedom to kind of envision what our experiences were, and the way he cut it together was just absolutely perfect. It's not just like, oh, here's this person's few minutes, and then here's this person's, but he found commonalities in our stories where it's very easy. It's like very easy to watch. And I have had strange experiences in life that I can't fully explain.
Sure.
And so I really tapped into that. And I just kind of made it like, so my nickname when I go to conventions, I'm Handsome Danny. And it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek joke. But on June 30th, 2007, a coworker called me Handsome Danny, and the name kind of stuck. And then I was working two jobs. At my second job, somebody started calling me Handsome Danny, who had no idea it was happening at the other place. And as a joke, it's Handsome Danny. And so he didn't I didn't get credited as Handsome Danny, but it's like, hey, it's your boy Handsome Danny here. Normally I'm giving you tips with how to score with the ladies, but man, I got to tell you about this thing that happened to me the other day. So it kind of goes into that. And
Right.
and so that's pretty much my backstory for that character. Is just he's a regular guy, not really chasing after urban legends or myths or anything. He's living his life, giving all
Sure.
kinds of free internet advice to guys who aren't getting much play. But God, this really creepy thing happened to him, and I know what it feels like to try to tell somebody about a creepy thing that happened to you.
That
Where
seems unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a lot of people can relate to that, at least on some level.
Sure. Well, I mean, can you share what's something creepy that's made you think that you can't explain? Like, what in the world was that?
Yeah. Um, you know what? There was this really, so I had to get some immunizations. It was about 20 years ago. I was going for like this volunteer thing, and I was leaving home. And actually, my twin brother and so I'm from Riverside. We had to drive to the next city over, San Bernardino, to go get our shots updated.
Mhm.
And we were going to this health clinic, and they gave us directions. It's like, okay, we got off the highway, and there's a Jack in the Box. You go past the Jack in the Box, you turn right, you can't miss it. It's on the left hand side. It's this huge, spacious building. Well, we get off the highway, we see the Jack in the Box, we turn right, and there's nothing there. There's freaking nothing there. It's an empty brown field. And we drive down, and off to the right, there's like this like really rundown neighborhood. And we go down the neighborhood, and there's dogs barking, there's trash everywhere, and there's a lady out front, and she's like, shh. And she's just like in a bathrobe, and she's walking towards us. Because we're like stopped, and we weren't gonna ask her for directions. We're just kind of trying to figure out where we're at, and she's just walking towards us. Like as if shushing, but just like the gesture of shh.
Right.
It was just really, really weird. And actually, after that, my brother didn't even want to talk about it, but we were in the car together. I was driving. We were like 19 years old, and it was just the weirdest damn thing. And we're like, God, this is creepy. It was like seriously, the hair on your arm just like standing up and trying to figure it out. And things are just run down. And she just had like this creepy, creepy look. We couldn't figure it out. Like, we got to get the hell out of here.
Oh, yeah.
You know how you do. So then you turn right. Let's get back on that main road. We
Yeah.
didn't have cell phones back then. It was still the
Right.
90s.
Sure.
So I used a payphone at Jack in the Box in the parking lot, and I had the phone number to this place. I'm like, hey, we're at this Jack in the Box, and we turned right. Where is this clinic? We can't find it anywhere. She goes, you're in the right place. She goes, you got off at this exit? I said, yeah. If you're at the Jack, I'm like, I'm at the payphone of Jack in the Box. I'm right. She goes, it's right there. Just turn right after Jack in the Box. Like, dude, what's your problem? We're already running late by now.
Yeah.
get back in the car. My brother's mad at me because he's like, what do you mean she told you just turn right? We've already done that. I'm like, he goes, you should have explained it better. I'm like, we get back in the car. We turn right after Jack in the Box. That brown field is gone. There's this huge hospital, this huge health clinic, and that rundown neighborhood off to the right. There's nothing there. It's all beautiful. And we go into the health clinic and, we get, whatever, the blood drawn and get our stuff taken care of that we were doing.
Right.
And we were just absolutely freaked out. Like, we have absolutely, and it's kind of weird to talk about because it's like, I didn't tell very many people at the time, but I did have this one friend. He's like, dude, I totally believe you. Like, I don't understand it, but I totally believe you. And, but it's just weird. And like, we were both there. If I'd been by myself, it would be harder to really trust my own.
Oh yeah.
My own takeaway, but it was kind of like just not so much having missing time, but where in the hell was this thing the first time? Because all we did was retrace our steps. There's only one road after that Jack in the Box, and you turn right. And the first time it was nowhere, nothing. In this creepy neighborhood with this weird lady and broken down cars with tarps on them and dogs barking and weird. The wind was blowing all of a sudden, really like just it was just weird.
It's like you went into like a different time or something.
Yeah, it was a weird little time warp thing. And stuff like that happens now that people can capture like on a TikTok video, and you still kind of wonder if that's where like the girl slicing the lemon and then it's unsliced when she goes back to it.
Yeah.
It's like I wonder if we would have been like filming that, like how that would have come across, but just weird stuff like that, or seeing ghosts and stuff like that. I went on a ghost hunt for this cool.
Yeah, Mr. Nanners.
Riverside. Hey, Mr. Nanners. Yeah.
Maybe Mr. Nanners knows who that lady is.
a colleague of Mr. Nanners. Yeah, but
right.
Just kind of weird stuff happening that I think weird stuff happens like that more than we think. We just don't always catch it.
Yeah, we're I think that's where some people are more susceptible to different types of I guess energies and things floating around that we can't see but we feel. That's what's your thoughts on like okay, you're in the movie The Mothman. You're playing this character who has these, strange things happening, and I guess eventually starts diving more into the urban legend of the Mothman. What's your thoughts on the Mothman? Because I'm sure is that where you filmed it down there? Was it Point Pleasant, right?
It filmed in West Virginia. My part in it was remote.
Right.
Since I was one of the vloggers, but yeah, it did. And I was one of the producers. I almost went down to set, to visit and hang out. I didn't make it down there, but yeah, they were filming in West Virginia. And I believe
what's your thoughts on that?
Ohio. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What's your thoughts on how these people, react? Do you think there's some validity to, because they go all out, as we mentioned, man.
Yeah. Mothman, I think the jury's still out for me on Mothman. I'm open to it. The jury's still out for me on Bigfoot, for example. But
sure.
For Mothman, I have read like the initial stories, like from the 60s when Mothman, these, you had two couples that were driving in the car. And it's kind of like Mothman wasn't really terrorizing them, even though I think they were like shaken up from it.
Sure.
But like he helped them avoid a bridge collapse, like warned them of it.
Interesting.
And so I'm still trying to wrap my head around, how did they see what they think they saw? But I haven't been to every square inch of this planet, and there's who knows what kind of weird creatures are
just like how can it's hard for you to explain what you and your brother saw. I mean, there's a lot of things that I mean, there's been things that happened to me. I was about 9 years old. I had an episode with some sleep paralysis, which I didn't even realize it's what it was until many years later. And I realized what sleep paralysis was. And I was like, wait a minute, that fucking happened to me. One of those things, you know,
Wow.
I was awake. I couldn't move. I'm just laying in bed. I had a bunk bed. I was on the bottom bunk, and all of a sudden, it was a black shadow kind of thing, and just kind of came up like this, and I couldn't see fingers, but you could tell it was like the shadow shape of a hand, of two hands, and it got right up to me, and that's when I woke up. And I woke up screaming, freaking out. My mom came in. She was like, hold on, let me go get a cup of coffee. This is going to be a minute. So
Oh
she
my
goes
God.
down to get coffee. I'm sitting on the edge of my bunk bed, and out of the dust cover of the top bunk, all of a sudden I feel the back of my shirt lift up, of my, and I turn around, and there is a hand. It was yellow with black polka dots, and it was really hairy. I remember this as if, you know, it had just happened, and it was retracting back into the dust cover. So I freak out, obviously, and I go over to, I had this like little bench, you lift the seat up, it's a toy box kind of thing. And I'm over there, and I'm sitting there, and I'm shaking. Finally, my mom comes in. I told her what happened. Oh, it was just a dream. It was just a dream. You know, of course, she had no explanation for it. What do you tell someone, you know, a kid 9, 10 years old that just had this happen? Um, and that's probably the weirdest thing that's, you know, really, you know, happened, that sticks out in my head that I can't explain. I don't know if, you know, did was I sitting there and just kind of dozed back off? You know, I really have no explanation for it at all.
Wow.
Other than the
That's
sleep
wild.
paralysis part, yeah, other than the sleep paralysis part, you know, I understand that because I remember that vividly. Um, but yeah, I mean, certain things like that, man, it's hard to tell people and expect them to, you know, kind of give you a non-judgmental listen,
Yeah.
because it's, you know, it gets so hard to, you know, understand and wrap your head around. It's like, come on, Danny, you took the wrong turn. Just admit it. No, I didn't. I took the right turn. There was nothing fucking there. I went
Yeah.
back. I retraced my steps. Boom, it's there. You know, I mean, Mr. Nanners mentioned, going back to that, multiverse displacement.
Yeah.
I have never heard of that term, but that is getting Googled after the show. Thank you, Mr. Nanners.
That just
Because I
sounds
mean,
right.
right. I mean, weird things like that, you know, can happen. I don't, I'm, you know, skeptical. I'm known to be quite, you know, of a little bit of a skeptic when it comes to ghost and things like that, but not that I shoot it down or anything, or, you know,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, it is. People have experiences that they can't explain. And, you
Yeah.
know,
And I'll
that,
tell you, like, I don't mean to interrupt, Otis. I'm
no,
sorry.
no, go ahead, buddy.
I was gonna tell you my twin brother actually passed away last year.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Very suddenly he had a seizure in his sleep and he passed away.
Oh
And
my
like he
God.
never wanted to talk about that experience or anything. He and I had a joke from when we were kids that whichever one of us dies first is gonna haunt the other one. That was just always like a morbid joke between us. You know, we're twins. We just have a sick sense of humor. Like, oh, I'm gonna haunt
Right.
you. I'm gonna haunt you. We kind of stopped. We would just say it to each other. Nobody, you know, we would just say it to each other. And uh, we pretty much stopped saying it around the age of like 12 or 13. You know,
Hmm.
kind of died out. No pun intended. But anyway, a relative of mine went to a psychic right after my brother passed, actually one that she goes to a lot, and sent me the recording. And she was asking about my brother David, and just like if he had any messages for me. And the psychic is like, he just says he's gonna haunt his brother. I don't know what that means. Like, I'm like, I know
Wow.
exactly what that means. And it's kind of weird
Right.
because I've been on the fence about psychics, you know, and I'm
Sure.
willing to grant that there's good and bad out there, and there are definitely a lot of cons out there. But
Hmm.
it's like stuff like that happens. You don't hear that, you know, you normally hear the psychic reading where it's like, oh, they want to tell you they love you and they're watching and they, you know, they're they're in a better place now and all that stuff. But
It's so generalized, something specific like what you were told that nobody knew really what the meaning was except you.
yeah,
That's a head scratcher, that'll make you think, sure.
and it doesn't sound very pleasant. You don't really win people over by saying, "Oh, this deceased loved one is going to haunt you." But it was all it was like an inside joke, and
Yeah,
nobody else
you
understood it at
knew
first.
the humor behind it and the
Yeah.
lightheartedness that was with it. Yeah, that's Mr. Nanners has a, twin brother too, he
Oh my
says.
gosh, Riverside twin brother.
Good lord, are you guys related? What the hell, man? You that is funny. Both from, Riverside, both have twin brothers.
We're trying to put Riverside on the map the way you've put Ohio on the map.
Yeah, I God, if I haven't put Ohio anywhere. Don't get me involved in that one. Some strange folk around here, but that's all good. Takes all different kinds to make this big turd ball spin, you know what I mean? So, we're almost to the hour mark. What do you have, what do you have planned? Do you have any, upcoming projects you're getting ready to work on?
I
Or
do.
you just doing the 9 to 5 now, waiting for some, or do you?
I do have a couple things coming up, and it's kind of weird because I signed a paper that says I'm not going to talk about it or my
Mm,
involvement with it, which is, and that's not to shut down your question. I'm kind of
no,
confused on that, so I wish I could, because it's funding right now. But I guess my involvement hasn't been announced, and I don't know what the big deal is. But it was just kind of standard language of what I signed,
gotcha.
so I don't want to breach that. But
Yeah,
there's a
don't get in
couple.
trouble.
Yeah, yeah, and I know, and I appreciate that. So it's like, yeah, there is something. It's kind of like, yeah, I have a girlfriend. She goes to a different school. Just believe me, you know.
Right.
There is something. I just can't tell you about it, okay?
Gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah,
Is
right.
it in the horror universe?
It absolutely
You
is.
can say that. All
It
right, awesome.
absolutely
So
is.
new horror project coming,
Yes,
that you're
and
involved.
and so there's just a couple of things actually in the works that I am talking to some people about.
Awesome.
And the next one that I'm going to be a part of is Placid Park. And so, and for that one, you know what? That one is something because um, uh, I learned about it and I thought, oh, I want to be a part of that. And they'd finished with like the casting of it. But I talked to some of my friends, some of my friends that were involved, and like, well, just contact Roman, contact the director, and see if he's got anything for you. And they had pretty much, and he said, well, you can be a hiker in the background, an extra. And I'm like, that is not beneath me. I love this business so much. Like
Sure.
whatever, I have no ego about it.
It's awesome.
I have absolutely no ego, and so we're gonna be filming that in Kentucky. It was so we were gonna be filming it. I think in like the end of May, got pushed back a little bit. So that's one I'm really excited. I may only be on set for a day, maybe a day or two. And just in the background, you may not even see my face very clearly in it, but that doesn't matter. It's just I really believe that if you want to go to the place where they're making the thing that you like,
Yeah,
and
no,
and I'll be a part of
absolutely.
it any way I can. Yeah.
And funny because I'm also going to be talking with Steve Hansen later on. I'm doing another podcast to talk with him. Try to work in with his schedule, but he, there's getting just being involved somehow. Funny story, LC, how I got the little voiceover part with him is I was like, "Dude, where are you filming at?" I was like, "Hell, I'll come down there. I'll make coffee. I'll take the trash out. I just want to see how things, are. I don't care." And then the conversation started, "Well, wait a minute. I may have something, for you to
Mhm.
do." Okay. Awesome, man. And it kind of worked like that because again, the reason I brought up Steve is because the word of the day is passion. And I think if you're passionate about, the type of work you want to do, being an actor, being a director, being involved somehow, excuse me, camera work, special effects like Derek, whatever it is, you know, doing anything, even outside of what you really want to do, sure you love a lead role, but hell, I'll be a hiker in the background. You may or may not see me, but I'm there. I'm a part of the process. And I think that speaks highly of your passion for what you do. As far as, an actor and your passion for, making films. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a lead role, man. You don't have to be, supporting cast. Oh, you can be an extra. Get back there and walk by.
Exactly. Exactly. I consider myself to be lucky to be involved in any way possible,
Yeah,
like you said. And I am also very excited about, um, the Hellvira project that we're promoting right now. And speaking of things that, are just outside of the box where you're not going to find it anywhere else. We're not making
yeah,
another slasher in the woods movie.
sure.
This really does have an identity of its own. And so I'm just really jazzed about that. And I do have to give you props, Otis, because you had an encounter with Stabby a couple months back where he wasn't very nice to you. And,
Um, I'm
you
I'm
know,
used to it though.
you handled him really well. He wasn't raised right. He
I
wasn't
I I
raised
have I have thick skin, hey, I figure if I can handle Stabby, I can handle anyone. Mr.
right.
Nanners, his brother Scott will be playing Santa Claus,
Awesome.
in the, new project, Elvira's Haunted Asylum of Horror, again, on Indiegogo. Give that a check and, donate if you can. If you can't donate financially, again, just share it far and wide. Danny, some last words, man. I really thank you for taking the time out this morning and chatting with us about some indie horror, some projects. Any links and anything you want to throw out there? As far as your projects coming up, anything?
Yeah, pretty much a lot of it. People can look at my IMDb, Danny Langston, and I've got the little three. There's a couple of wannabe Danny Langstons out there, so
Yeah.
I've got the little three after my name. But yeah, definitely on Facebook, Danny Langston, handsome.danny on Instagram. And I do own the rights to handsomedanny.com, so we'll see what becomes of that. It's not up and running yet. And as you can see, I have a very timid fan base, but they'll come out of the shadows, and we'll have it is a thing, but it's not ready for prime time yet. But before a lot of people, I hope people will be able to find me there as well.
Awesome,
So yeah,
awesome.
IMDb
Well,
will be really good for keeping up with what's coming up, and I can't wait to meet you in person and for all of us to be together for
oh man,
Hellfire.
yeah, that would be an absolute blast. And as I mentioned, we're not that far from each other, so yeah, man, we'll have to hook up, maybe hit a con or something, and hell, if nothing else, just meet up somewhere, have some coffee, and talk shop or something, man.
Absolutely, man. I'll shoot over my digits to you.
Hey, sounds good. I'm gonna throw you in the back. I want to say goodbye after I end the show, so don't go nowhere, Danny. Thank you so much again for hanging out with us. And give me 1 minute. I'm gonna say goodbye to all these good people here in the chat. So hang tight, Danny. Man, I told you it was a great conversation. Danny's a great guy. If you haven't seen Hellfire on the Run, which is out now, Cineverse is where you can check that out. And that's where you can be introduced to Stabby the Clown if you are not introduced to him yet. So a lot of cool projects. You may have to go back and re-listen, but we mentioned a lot of cool projects that Danny's involved in. We mentioned Watchdog, Macabre Mountain, Late Checkout. Crust. So many. Go check out his IMDb. Check out what's going on in his neck of the woods. A lot of really cool things happening in the indie horror scene. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And again, if you weren't able to get here because of the time, well, you can check out the show on our YouTube channel. It'll be ready as soon as I hit end broadcast, which is what I'm going to do right now. Have a good day, guys.